In the small and peaceful village of Akum, there lived a beautiful and confident girl named Adaora. She was 18 years old and loved exploring new things. But Adaora had one flaw: she never liked listening to advice. Her parents were devout Christians who believed in prayer. They prayed every morning, every night, and before any major event. But Adaora often ignored their teachings, believing prayer was unnecessary. Her parents often said, "Adaora, prayer is your guide. It protects and leads you when you cannot see what is ahead." But Adaora would laugh and reply, "Mama, Papa, nothing will happen to me. I can handle myself." One sunny afternoon, Adaora received a letter from her cousin, Amoka, inviting her to the city. Amoka had just gotten married and wanted Adaora to visit her new home. The thought of seeing the city made Adaora excited. She had only heard stories of bright lights, big buildings, and busy streets. She rushed to her parents. "Mama, Papa, Amoka has invited me to the city. I want to go." Her parents exchanged a glance. They were happy for her but also worried. Traveling to the city meant passing through a long, dangerous forest road. Her mother said, "Adaora, before you go, we must pray for your journey." Adaora rolled her eyes. "Mama, nothing will happen to me. I'll just get on the bus and go. I don't need prayers for something so simple." Her father added, "Life is unpredictable, Adaora. Prayer is not just for fear, it invites God's protection and guidance." But Adaora refused to listen. On the morning of her journey, Adaora packed her clothes and snacks into a small bag. Her mother handed her a small Bible. "Take this with you," she said. Adaora smiled and stuffed it into her bag. She wasn't planning to read it. At the bus station, Adaora was amazed by the crowd. Traders were selling boiled corn, roasted yam, and fruits. Passengers rushed to catch their buses while drivers shouted destinations. She found her bus, greeted the driver, and sat near the window. The view of the village disappearing behind her made her heart race with excitement. The first part of the journey was smooth. Adaora watched children playing in fields, farmers tending to their crops, and birds flying in the sky. She felt free, thinking, "This journey is even easier than I thought." But after a few hours, the road changed. The bus entered a dense forest, and the atmosphere grew quiet. The driver, an old man with a wrinkled face, turned off the music and said, "This is the forest road. Let us pray for safe passage." The passengers bowed their heads. The driver prayed aloud, asking for protection from accidents, robbers, and other dangers. But Adaora didn't join in. She put on her headphones and ignored everything around her. The bus moved deeper into the forest. The trees were tall and blocked most of the sunlight. Suddenly, the bus stopped with a loud screech. "What happened?" Adaora asked, pulling off her headphones. "There's something on the road," the driver said. Adaora leaned out of the window and saw a tall woman standing in the middle of the road. She wore a long white dress, and her face was hidden behind a veil. She held a basket in her hands and stood perfectly still. The passengers started whispering. "This is no ordinary woman," an old man said, clutching his walking stick. The driver tried to reverse the bus, but the engine wouldn't start. The passengers began to panic. "What do we do now?" someone asked. The strange woman walked slowly to the side of the bus. She stopped near Adaora's window and called her name softly, "Adaora." Adaora's heart pounded. "How does she know my name?" she thought. The woman pointed at Adaora and said, "Step out of the bus." The passengers gasped. "Don't go," someone whispered. But Adaora felt a strange force pulling her. Slowly, she stepped out. The woman took her hand and led her into the forest. They walked for a long time. The trees seemed alive, whispering as they passed. Adaora wanted to ask questions, but fear kept her silent. Finally, they reached a clearing. The woman spoke, "You left your home without prayer. You think you don't need help, but now you will see why prayer is important." With a wave of her hand, the woman showed Adaora visions in the sky. Adaora saw herself walking on a dangerous road filled with snakes, pits, and sharp rocks. But in another vision, she saw her parents praying for her, and a bright light clearing the path ahead of her. Tears filled Adaora's eyes. "I didn't know prayer was this powerful," she said. The woman nodded. Prayer is not just words. It is your connection to the unseen. Without it, you are like a bird trying to fly without wings. Adaora fell to her knees. "Please forgive me. I was wrong." In a flash, Adaora found herself back on the road. The bus was walking, and the passengers were waiting for her. The strange woman was gone. Adaora climbed back into the bus, holding her Bible tightly. She turned to the driver and said, "Please, let us pray again before we continue." The passengers agreed, and the old man led the prayer. This time, Adaora prayed with all her heart. When Adaora arrived in the city, she told her cousin Amoka everything that happened. Amoka was shocked and said, "This is a big lesson, Adaora. Always pray before you do anything." Adaora nodded. "I will never forget." When Adaora returned to her village, she hugged her parents tightly and thanked them for teaching her about prayer. From that day on, she became a prayerful person, always seeking God's guidance before every decision. Her story spread across the village, and many people learned the importance of prayer through her experience. Prayer is like a lamp in the darkness. It shows us the way and protects us from dangers we cannot see. Never start anything without praying for guidance.